Hello Space Engineers, Wellington6012 here, and welcome to episode number 12 of my tutorial series. How's everybody today? Hope you are good. So the main thing today is going to be going up there into space. Well, not to the top of the tower, just space. Yes, space. So we are headed there. Just before I do that, let's go into this view. I just wanted to sort of revisit a couple of things from the last episode in regards to the sorters. So I've just put this sort of together in creative mode just to kind of clarify things a bit, because as I sort of said on camera and also subsequently in comments, I didn't really, this base was not really the right base to kind of do what I did. It did confuse things a bit, and even now it's still not quite right. So I threw this together just to clarify a couple of things. So yeah, I thought I'd go through it just real quick, which is possibly what I should have actually just done for the episode last time, but anyway, here we are. So yeah, so think about these two connectors being connecting to ships or rovers, but also could be a drill, could be anything, could be just part of the bigger base. And then this is my sort of inventory management system here. So ores will get split off and will go into here. Potentially the ingots would also go through this, so that it would pull any ingots out of ships that were docked. So ores go into here, they divide off, ice goes out through here into the sort of hydrogen system. The hydrogen gas should actually be able to go the other way, but maybe we have a bypass, because that was one of the things I sort of didn't really talk about, was bypasses. So ores in here, and then they go down here. We can split them off, so this sort of here into this refinery for speed, and this one for yield. So we might put like the gold into here, and we might just put the iron into there, that sort of thing. And then the ingots get sucked out of there and pushed into the container, ready for the assembler to use, and then the components go into the container. Then I've got this bypass, so that this one will pull the components out of there into there, but this one we can actually bypass and have them go back in if we wanted to disassemble them. And the same over here, if we wanted, we could have that one on pull, and that would pull any components out of any ships that were docked and that sort of thing. So that's sort of probably a better way to look at it. Or again, the size of the base here, it's not really worth it. We haven't got the ores coming in at high volume. We don't have the components, the ingots being used at high volume. But if you imagine this had another huge base attached to it, multiple ships coming in, you can see where there is actually the value of getting some inventory management in place. So things kind of just automatically end up where they should be. So moving on, I have made some changes here, so I'll kind of start down here. I've swapped the hydrogen tank out for a large one over there, so we got rid of the small one, just moved the engine. I've still kept that down here, so this is called under kind of the power area. You are going to go today, we're going to use you, and yeah, so as I say, the components, sometimes I'm getting components sort of misplaced in the vehicles, because there's no actual sorter that's pushing them into this cargo container apart from when they are produced. So that's what I was sort of saying, that I do have, it's not quite right in this sort of setup. I don't really have room for bypasses here, so that's just going to have to live with it. Moving down here, we have got a bypass around here for ice to come out. Not that I really need that to happen, apart from potentially filling up ice into a connected vehicle, because the O2 gen is actually on that side of it, which I've only just realised now as I look at it. So it's yeah, it's not really super useful, that. But anyway, again, if we want to get ice out, but what it does mean is that the ice is no longer going out through here and potentially getting pushed through the system or getting stuck. So yeah, so there's a few things there. So anyway, we are processing ice. I did get another load, so this should be filling up, which it is very slowly, but that'll give us a bit of stuff ready for when we build a orbiter to get up into orbit. So yeah, so let's get that started now. I'll just get rid of this thing, and I might just make a little bit of a start on things. Stand by. Okay, so there's a few things we need to consider building our orbiter. I mean, we can pretty much just jetpack straight up into space, but that's not really in the spirit of the game. So yeah, first of all, we need to sort of have a style of ship, which may have implications to what we're doing. So one is to go for a sort of shuttle style, like this sort of thing here, and convert it to hydrogen. Or we go for a sort of more rocket, SpaceX style type thing. Because we do need to think about thrust. So for instance, normally our forward thrust is the most thrust, whereas if we're on the ground, we need that to kind of lift off. Yeah, so that's just a consideration. I'm going to go for a shuttle style today, and we'll just maybe build some stuff into it that might help down here on the planet for the old horizontal landing. So, first of all, I'm going to put in, well, I've already got the connector there. I'm going to put in a little bit of storage. I don't want heaps, because that would just be extra mass that I don't necessarily need. And I do need some interior plates, which I should be able to get from here, yes. So I'll put that in. And yeah, so not heaps of storage, but just a little bit, because potentially we will be taking some stuff to the moon. And then we're going to need some hydrogen storage, because the generation won't be enough by itself. You can power a couple of thrusters off a O2 generator. So let's just put that on actually, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to put it. I know where I'm going to put it. Oh, there's one on the toolbar already. I'm going to put it right here. So matching those two ports up with those two ports is what I think I'm going to do. So I think this will be a little bit different. So it does pay to have an O2 generator up in space, because then you can resupply your fuel. Chances are you will find some ice up there somewhere, but also oxygen as well. Because if we look at the tanks, let's just load them up on the toolbar. Tanks. Okay, so we've got a group there, that's cool. We'll just put the group on there. So this is the oxygen tank. It's very large, it's complete overkill. Now, at the time of recording, there is an update which is on the way coming, which should have an oxygen tank that's more along this sort of size. But currently we don't have it. I would love to have an oxygen tank this size, just to give me enough to breathe, because that's all you need. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the oxygen. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to put some bottles in the cockpit, and I'm going to use potentially this O2 gen as well, because if I've got that hooked up, then I'll have some oxygen. So I don't use heaps, but yeah, I've got the means there to sort it out if I do need some. But lots of bottles, that'll be the key. Then moving to the hydrogen tank, quite a large tank. That's pretty much what you need to get off Earth, to be realistic. You can get away with a few of these ones, plus an O2 gen, but yeah, it would pay to have a big one, so I will definitely be putting the big one on today. And then I'm going to put a survival kit on, which will allow me to build certain things up in space and on the moon as well. So just a little bit of so the ability to build stuff, which potentially we're going to need. The ability to heal myself as well. That's going to be a thing too. So that's that. What we can do is we can break this one down, because this is the parts that we need. And perfect. So let's just check out that battery. That's 19 hours fully recharged. Okay, that's because I was producing some things. Yeah, that's fine. So let's weld that up. Like so. Now the other reason why I'm doing it this way, and sort of why I've chosen to go with the shuttle style and have the connector at the back rather than underneath, is just so I can have this 3x3 conveyor network right through, so that potentially I can use this for production and get stuff out of it. So that is the rhyme behind my madness. But yeah, because putting a connector underneath, you can see there's not really many ports. If you're not intending to do inventory management, it's fine. But yeah, potentially I am. So, because yeah, with these 3x3s, it is quite a good place to put a large hydrogen thruster. So let's just put the thrusters on the group. So yeah, one of those sort of on the end of the hydrogen tank can be quite useful for nice thrust getting up into space. But yeah, we won't do that today. I'll come up with some other method. Let me finish this off, and I'll put a cockpit on the front as well. Oh, and I need a battery. So actually, let's just queue up a battery, because I don't have one yet. So we're going to production, and kind of small blocks, and there's a battery there. So we'll just do one of those, because you don't need heaps of power for hydrogen. Certainly they're not power hungry like the high atmospheric thrusters are, so you can get away with not very much power on these hydrogen ships. They don't take a lot at all. Also, just for reference, in the production there is a limit. When I was doing the other week, clicking lots of these, there is a limit of 50 items that get queued up, so potentially I was not getting all of the items that I wanted because I wasn't paying attention. So that's the thing. Yeah, so let me just sort this out, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've named all that stuff, got proactive on that, and even put some of it in the toolbar, so that's worked out. So that's all done. Right, we'll just grab some bits and pieces. Maybe some steel as well, for thrusters and conveyors. So the hydrogen fuel needs to be piped into the thrusters. Seems obvious, but I think probably better mention it. So I'm going to go like this. Now the thing with the thrusters, the hydrogen thrusters, they are more powerful than the atmospherics, but of course you do need fuel as well. So they are useful on planets to give you extra power, extra speed, extra acceleration, but there is a cost to that, in that you need to have a hydrogen tank, which is also highly explosive if there were to be a stray bullet. Yeah, so let's just continue on with this. Yeah, whereas atmospherics, they work very well on the ground, and all they cost you is electricity. So you do have to have extra batteries, and as I said before, we don't really need to worry about batteries too much for this build, because the hydrogen doesn't really use a lot of power. Yeah, I think we want to go like this. And it may be that I don't actually have all of these turned on in space. We might just have them have like a planet mode for launch and then a space mode. So that can be a thing as well. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to put in the middle, as soon as I find the right things. So we're going like you, and you, just to sort of even things out. Yes, yeah, so even though I'm putting wings on, there's no aerodynamics, but ones to look the part. So we put 3 on the front, 5 underneath, 3 behind, and 3 along there, 5 along there. So that'll give us 5, when I duplicate it over the other side, 5 thrusters. This is going to be heaps of thrust. You don't really need this much. Probably 2 in each direction would probably be enough for this size ship. But, yeah, here we are. And what I might do is put in one of these ones in there. Yeah, I probably need to actually weld those ones up to try and bury them. Motor. Conveniently that's connected. See why the 3x3 right through is so useful. So yeah, let's put on engine. So this will help down on the planet, getting into space. Because yeah, sometimes lifting off from the ground with a load of stuff on board, or more importantly stopping when you come back down, can be a little tricky. Yeah, so I will weld all this up, and what I might do is actually just put all those thrusters, all the hydrogen ones, into a group. Hydrogen thrusters. Save, and we'll turn them off. Because we're attached to a hinge, bad things might happen if they try and sort of fire. Right, let me weld all this up. Yeah, so that's the sort of layout there. I'll get enough thrust in each direction there. Be able to put some things in that I've forgotten, like gyros. Antenna on the front. Yeah, so actually we can just do that. Put you on one of these ones. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like so. This could just be stuff out of there. Ooh, missing a radio component. So I can't get it out of here because we've only got the 1x1 connection through here. The 3x3 only comes as far as the survival kit. That's fine. Yeah, okay, so these are stepped up, but I'll be able to sort of put some detail on that'll cover those up. So this is just the bare bones at the moment. Yeah, so I will put some more on this side, which, yeah, just give us a bit. Right, got those welded up, so we'll be able to land. That'll be good. And what else? So people often ask, where's the gyro? There's the gyro. And ore detector. So we are looking pretty good. Looking real good, actually. Yeah, I don't know about those sort of how they are, but there's not much else we can do. Okay, so what I was thinking was space can be dangerous. So how about we put some armaments on here as well? I'm not going to get too carried away, but we need to potentially shoot at stuff if it's chasing us. So let's look in the toolbar, and there are turrets. I'll load them up. I'm not really going to go too far into warfare today, I don't think, but these are the two sort of categories, turrets and rocket launchers, which they're sort of fixed. So first of all, the turrets, there's different types. There's Gatling, which have quite a short range in comparison to, say, Gatlings and rockets, versus assault cannon has a bit more range. Autocannon similar. Okay, so assault cannon's got the bigger range, 1400 meters. But yeah, there's not really a lot of places to put it. We also do want to make sure that we don't sort of put guns too close to our hydrogen tank, because foes will probably target the guns. So, and hydrogen is rather explosives. Yeah, so that's the turrets. There's not really room on here for them because they do have a very big sort of area hitbox. So we can have fixed, which is under the rocket launcher title, but we don't need rocket launchers. So Gatlings, and what I was thinking was, so railgun is good. You do need uranium to make the ammunition for it, which we don't have. You also need power, which this has not got a lot of power on it. So, very useful railguns. Not for me, not today. I think the assault cannon is what we'll go for, and we'll put a couple on here because it's got a connector on the end, barrel on the end, I should say. So I'm going to go for a couple of those. They do fire a decent distance, and they do cause quite a bit of damage when you hit something. But they do need reloading quite frequently, and that does take a little while, so yeah, just be aware of that. But let's weld those up. What am I going to metal grids again? Or is it just my inventory size? I think we're out of metal grids. Let's just make some more of those. So it was a good thing I got that cobalt the other day. Yes, so up. And then for sort of, so that's good for sort of sniping or trying to do sort of distance shots. But for close range, for dogfights, we're better off with the Gatlings. So I'm going to put some of those on as well, because they have ones on the side and quite well into here. So there is a warfare type as well, which is just it's DLC content. So it's just the cosmetic difference. We'll do that. So we'll melt that up, and we also need some ammunition for them. Another thing as well. So let's jump into production and into the ammo. So Gatlings use Gatling, and the assault cannons use assault cannon shell. Might do 30 of those. They don't take much room. While I'm here, I might also just do. Oh, what gun can we make? Yeah, I'll do one of those and do one of those for us to take with us, just in case we need it. So I have got magnesium in order to make this ammunition. I dug some out of underneath there, so yeah, so that's the thing. So landing. Okay, so that's all getting there, I think. So I think we've just about got everything. It's just going to be a bit of programming now and putting some steel down to kind of cover things up and lights and all that sort of carry on. So I can't think of anything else I've just forgotten right now. I'm sure it'll come to me. But yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We can still access that. It's fine. Yeah, so we just need some lights and things like that, and then load up the toolbars, which will take a little bit of time. Yeah, but I think we've got access to things, and yeah, that's good. It's good. Alright, here we go. Pretty much all done. Well, enough to take off anyway. So yeah, just put a little bit of armor on it, which makes, I think, it look pretty good. Yeah, I'm sort of happy with how it came out. Kind of in the same theme as the other things, certainly as this. And yeah, kind of the same as. Anywho, yeah, so just before I go, let's just take some oxygen bottles, because, hey, breathing's nice. Probably won't actually need them, but yeah, best to have them and not need them. Whoops, don't need 10. Best to have them and not need them, then not have them. Yeah. Now, I think the gun that I made earlier is here. I've already transferred the ammo over. Not that I'm intending to use the guns. I haven't actually set those up properly, so yeah, hopefully we don't need to use them. Let's just fill that up before we go. Okay, so that's all good. So I have had a little bit of a hover just to reconnect this on this pad. And it's got plenty of thrust, lots of thrust. Yeah, so let's just put the gun and stuff in here in case we need it. I don't need hydrogen up in space. Well, no, I do need hydrogen in space. I don't need a bottle of it because I don't have gravity. The amount of hydrogen that my jetpack uses is absolutely minimal. Yeah, don't need it. Oxygen we're going to need, but whenever we are in this cockpit, as long as the O2 generator is turned on and there's ice in it, we will get some oxygen. So I'll just see how the level goes on the hydrogen tank, and I'll probably leave that switched off. It is off at the moment, so that's a thing. Yeah, so just this first toolbar, I'll just quickly set up. That's pretty much just stand sort of space flight stuff. So recharge, yeah, so pretty much for space. The number 1 slot is the back thrusters, so that I can coast, and the number 2 is all the thrusters. Well, not all. So there's 6 down thrust here, and there's 5, 10 underneath, but I've only got the 3 in the middle, so it's equivalent to the ones up the top. So the 2 on either end, I'm probably not explaining this well. So on this side, we've got 5 thrusters underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, and 4 are part of the whole group. 1 and 5, and the atmospheric are auxiliaries, only for planetary launch. If that makes sense. So I've got them set up. So in the number 2 is just sort of auxiliary functions. And here we go. This is kind of the launch one here. So I will need to turn off the stockpile so that we can use our hydrogen. We'll turn the battery off recharge. And I might actually just disconnect at this juncture. And we could just turn on and push forward a little bit to get away from that connector. Okay, so I'll turn that off. Right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to... just looking at the thrusters, I think. I can't remember. So backwards, orbiter, auxiliary thrusters up. Yeah, so that's not the atmosphere. So they include... So I've got the thrusters for the atmospherics on override. So this override is certainly a function that you want to use. So I'll just go into here, into the thrusters. We will launch shortly. So yeah, so there's the auxiliary thrusters, which is the hydrogen, the 4 extra hydrogens, and the atmospherics, and then the atmospherics by themselves. So what you can do is thrust override, and it automatically it will continuously thrust at that rate. We want to do that while we're taking off so that we can sort of coast, that we're not using too much thrust to push and wasting the energy. Yeah, so it'll make sense. So what I'll do is I'm going to dial them all up. In fact, the auxiliaries, so all the thrusters going to dial up. Not sure actually. I think the auxiliaries are in another group. So the but I just want to show you that it does tell you the force that's going out of the thrusters, and as we go up, the atmospherics will become less efficient. So let's just get on our way and turn it on, and I suspect we're gonna just absolutely rock it up very quickly. Sure enough, very quickly. So let's dial back on the hydrogen thrusters. We'll dial back on those. Like so. Okay, and we're still maintaining our speed. But you can see already as we gain altitude, which we're up to 2,500 meters, and just look at the inefficiency of the atmospherics as the air gets thinner. They just become less and less efficient. That is not me dropping the efficiency on them. That is the lack of air. But we are working, so that's good. So as they get less efficient, and our gravity is still 1g, so we're still in full gravity at the moment. So what's going to happen is, yeah, we're going to have to up the hydrogen a little bit to maintain our speed. So I'll just up a little bit, and yeah, we're getting back up to that 100 meters a second max. And as the atmospherics really drop off, so you can see they're only a third of what they were at sea level, or yeah, down on the ground. So yeah, we're just going to have to bump our hydrogens up a little bit just to keep pace. But we're pretty much at the point now where those are just not doing anything, those engines. So I'm going to turn off the auxiliaries, and now we just have those middle 3 ones, which we'll have to speed up a bit more just to overcome that. But now our gravity's dropping, so as we get a little bit further up, we will be able to sort of just manage our thrust. So as we get up to 100, just drop it back 1 notch, and another notch, and another notch, and when we start to slow, we just hold it there until it gets past that point and we get less gravity. And now it's slowing down, and now we're accelerating again back up to 100 meters a second. So once we get up to that, I'll drop it off again. So this is really an efficient way to get into space, because if we were to say just thrust forward like this, I'll turn off that. If we were just to thrust straight up, then 93, 92, 91, and if we lift it off, then we're going to get that. We could turn off our dampeners, and that would stop our back thrust. or we could turn off the back thrust. I have that function in here, so now the back thrust is off. So we can kind of press and coast, press and coast. But if you just use the thrust override, it just maintains that. So yeah, that's where we're at. What I can do is actually dial back on that. And if I go into number 1, no, I don't have it. I thought I had a thrust override for going forward, but clearly I don't. But yeah, so let's just keep going up into space, and you can see there's a whole lot of asteroids. Yeah, I might just need to actually level off, like so, and just increase the override, because that's really the way to go. Getting fairly close to that asteroid. Speaking of which, the asteroids, there are quite a few up here. Now, the asteroid density can be set. There are different densities, or switch them off. It is a setting that you can only do when you create the game world. So that's at the very start of when you set up the game. So yeah, there's different densities in there. There's highest, lowest, or off, and a lot in between. Yeah. So these ones are actually in gravity that we're just, or that one that we just passed, and some of these other ones will, but we are almost out of gravity, so we want to be about 40 k's, and looking at our planetary gravity, when that gets down to 0.05, the next tick will be 0, so it's just suddenly going to go from 6.5 or 0.605 and then 0. So we'll watch that happen, and then I might make a GPS marker so I know where to sort of come back into gravity, which is over my base. Something I didn't put on here that is actually a good idea, there's 0.05, is parachutes. I think we'll be right with this. It's got so much lift, it's not funny, I've put so much on this. But I think, you know, it's quite useful having the atmospherics on there just to sort of explain how those work or don't work when you get a bit high. But there's 0G, we are in space. Let's turn off that override so that we can just hang around, and yeah, we can now just float around. So what we'll do is we'll go over and we'll have a look at one of these asteroids and see what it's got, but that'll pretty much be us for this episode. I think I've covered off more than enough. Not sure what we're going to do next. Well, I think next time we're actually going to go to the moon. I'll have to go back down to the planet, and I didn't hit the GPS. Hang on. Sorry. Stand by. New from current position will do. Yeah, so I'm thinking going to the moon sooner rather than later, because we've kind of done what we needed to do down on the planet to get our start. So we'll probably pack our bags and head over there, and yeah, see what we can find along the way. You never know. So yeah, just a very quick test flight up into space today, and yeah, we'll see what we can find. Yeah, so let's just have a look at this one, and yeah, you really need an ore detector for these. Quite often the ores are on the surface. We might get lucky with some platinum or uranium. So remembering that platinum is not available on planets, it is only found on moons and on asteroids, and uranium is only found on asteroids. So what's this? This is looking like ice to me. I could be completely wrong, but that's looking like ice. That's definitely looking like ice. And there's my ore detector telling me that. So there's usually 2 or 3 different ores on an asteroid. There are various mods out there that can help scan it. Certainly having a large grid ore detector that has 150 meters of range rather than 50 meters is quite useful. But oh look, we can even go inside this one. Shall we have a look in there and see what we can see? Find what we can find. Just need to watch out for those death voxels, that just little knobbly bits that can sneak out of nowhere. So yeah, a little bit of a cave in here. Pretty cool. Some stalactites or stalagmites, I don't know. But yeah, let's not get lost in there, shall we? Yeah, so a little bit of ice, quite useful. We've still got plenty of hydrogen, so I don't even need to worry about turning on my O2 gen. But speaking of oxygen, before I get out of the cockpit, which I will do now, I need to press the J key to close my helmet. So actually, if we look through here, J, open, closed. Wasn't an issue down on the planet where we had sweet oxygen, but now we're up in space in a vacuum. Kind of important. Let's jump out, because if you don't, then you'll take damage very quickly. And yeah, let's just do that. So make sure that you do have plenty of oxygen, that you're not suffocating. You don't get an alarm for low oxygen. Low hydrogen you do, low energy you do, but low oxygen you don't. You just forget and get damaged. Hydrogen, you see I'm fully thrust, flying around the place, and I'm barely using anything out of my jetpack. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, I think I've covered everything off. There are some things up here that potentially we might run into or will run into. We'll talk about those next time on our way to the moon. But yeah, that's where I'm going to call it, I think. Okay, well, we are in space, and yeah, the orbiter did very well to get into orbit. So yeah, that's where I'm going to call it today. I've done everything I wanted to do. I think next time we will be back on the planet down there, and we'll pack up and head to the moon. I think that's going to be the next moon over that way. Yeah, so yeah, thanks everybody for joining me. Again, leave comments down below, questions or things that I've missed, all that sort of carry on. Always appreciated. Yeah, hopefully you can join me again next time. And until next time, as always, stay safe out there, everybody, and have a good one.